Welcome to Greek Like Me, the podcast about all things Greek. I'm your host, Pamela Dotis Wood. Email us at stealthgreek@gmail.com to share comments, questions, and stories about anything and everything related to Greeks. Today's guest, Laurie Criego, worked in business for a number of years before reinventing herself as a screenwriter and independent filmmaker. She immersed herself in learning her new craft, winning the student competition of the prestigious UCLA Professional Program in Screenwriting. And she developed her own production company, Beach Entertainment Productions, in 2022. She lost no time writing and producing 2 short films, including the award-winning Indelible, and her first feature film, which brings her here today. She describes Mother Nature and the Doomsday Prepper as a mashup of genres, which just happens to center around Mount Olympus and the Greek gods. Bravo.
Good morning.
Good morning, Laurie Criego. It's so nice to meet you.
You too.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me. I have no idea what we're going to talk about.
Well, I want to talk about your latest movie, your first full-length movie, Mother Nature and the Doomsday Prepper, which features Mount Olympus and the Greek gods, which of course is the podcast is all about things Greek. So I'd love to hear a synopsis from you.
Okay. Mother Nature and the Doomsday Prepper is a crazy mashup of genres. Romance, fantasy, family. There are those who call it an echo comedy. But Mother Nature will lose her job unless she convinces a fanatic doomsday prepper that there's hope for the planet.
It was so much fun. I really enjoyed it. And I found it very timely. But I have a question. Why Greek mythology?
This is not a quick answer. About 12 years ago, I had an idea for a story based on twin grandsons. When they were little, everything would be lovely and wonderful, and they'd be playing, and then one of them would do something, and all hell would break loose, and that interaction had me fascinated. And at that time, I came up with a story about 2 little Greek gods who get a timeout on Earth. Because when they fight, storms happen and things. And that was where it just came from that out of the blue one day. Mother Nature was their mother and was a very B character. But over the years, and I do start and stop. We always had a full-time business, and I would work on a project for 3 months and then put it aside for 2 years. So over 10 years, it evolved to where Mother Nature was the major character. And then when I landed on, well, if this is a rom-com, what's so opposite of Mother Nature? And it's a doomsday prepper. So it started off as a rom-com, and then over time it evolved into this goofy mashup, and it landed on Mother Nature as the primary character. So it wasn't like I wanted to tell a story about the Greek gods, but they were a perfect setting for Mother Nature.
Yeah, it really was a lot of fun. And as a Greek, it was a lot of fun for me because you got so many things right. I mean, I know I'm going to hear back Mother Nature. Actually, the Earth Mother is Gaia. But to have this character be sort of the caretaker, and her to be the descendant of Dimitra, who was the goddess of the harvest and everything, it just seemed very fitting. And I just enjoyed I'm going to give you a little list of the Greek-approved moments. This is my opinion, the Greek-approved moments. That
good.
You really got right, because so often we turn on movies or TV shows that are featuring Greek, and we're all going, oh, God, what is that? Yamas, everybody knows Yasu, but Yamas, to say to us, olive oil as a skin moisturizer. That was good. That was a good one.
Oh, good.
The dolphins as divine messengers. I love, there's a moment where Mother Nature, I guess she rows out into the bay and the dolphins surround her. And that was just such a beautiful, I just had a little tingle here. It was just such a beautiful moment. Greeks have such an attachment to dolphins, and to see her interacting with them and talking to them, I thought was a really lovely moment. Also, you expressed the disrespect that every Greek feels about college fraternities. That was so perfect because we have a scene where Zeus is explaining why he has separated the mortal world from Olympus and shut the doors. And one of them is the disrespect that mortals now show. They don't have the belief in the gods, and also the disrespect. And you've got these frat bros that are in their togas going, ah! And I think there are a few things that we find as annoying as them calling themselves Greeks and behaving the way they do. So I thought that was really a very good reason for Zeus to just shut the doors.
That's an interesting observation about the whole Greek and the Panhellenic society and all of that. I bet that is just irritating.
It is. Sometimes when I'm Googling something and I'll say Greek, as soon as I put Greek in, frats come up, and I'm like, no.
No, they're not. They're not. Oh, I'm glad you liked the representation of that.
That was so much fun. I also loved that when Athena is sent, because she has to sort of, as you said, convince the doomsday prepper that there's hope. So she goes to Earth and she's given a cell phone. Instead of Siri, we have Athena giving directions or whatever, and she still can't understand what they're saying half the time, which is perfect.
Which is funny. And that was our director, Christian Cashmere, who said, we don't want to use Siri. And then when we landed on Athena, it was funnier. And the little Greek music that plays, when that made me laugh when they came up with that.
Yeah, it was really sweet because have the goddess of wisdom guiding you, but at the same time still misinterpreting everything everybody is saying. It's a very fun movie. There are some serious issues involved, but they're not made fun of. It's like they're treated with respect, but at the same time, nobody feels like they're being attacked. And I think that was another thing that I found very interesting about the movie is it was about, look what's happening to our environment, but it wasn't pointing a finger or blaming anyone. It was sort of inviting, bringing people together to sort it all out with Mother Nature as sort of the catalyst.
And that was somewhat unintentional. I was trying to portray her as out of touch.
Mm-hmm.
And those were the things she was out of touch about. And when the whole movie came together, I realized I must have had a hidden message that wanted to come out, because it's pretty blatant in the movie that it's time to do something. Somebody asked me if Mother Nature really could talk to all of us, what would she say right now? And I'd be like, it's time. Fix it or it's going to be too late. And so that was an unintended message that is very clear in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm told. I do know that we mispronounced some of the Greek names. We had a friend of one of our producers that sent an email and said, hey, fun Greek message, and I wish you would have let me help you with the pronunciation. So I do acknowledge that. We were a very low budget film,
Mm-hmm.
and we were filming at breakneck speed. And if I had it to do over, I would have had a Greek specialist with verifying some of the things we did and all the pronunciation.
That's okay. I've seen major motion pictures with a lot of money behind them where they have completely mispronounced Greek words. It's like an Americanized pronunciation, which I understand, which is actually easier, I think, for the American audience to get because they're more familiar with if I say Athena instead of Athena, it sort of causes people to pause for a minute. But Athena, they know exactly who you're talking about.
And Hercules, we all know Hercules.
Right.
Where the other pronounce.
If you say Heracles and somebody thinks I'm having a seizure or something, it's Heracles. So that was fine. I didn't have a problem with that at all.
Oh, I'm relieved. Good.
No, there are times in the podcast, which we are a really low budget podcast, where I'll use the Americanized pronunciation of things and sometimes repeat the Greek pronunciation just so that it's clear to the non-Greek listeners so they know who we're talking about.
I've enjoyed listening to some of your stories too, and as you say the name over and over, Orpheus was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And you say it
Orpheus?
Mm-hmm. Orpheus. And after hearing it a few times, then it resonated with me.
Yeah, then it gets stuck in your brain.
Yeah, that helps. It helps to hear it out loud.
I'm glad you've been listening.
Yeah.
I had one other thing that I mean, there were many things, actually, that I liked, the little Greek moments. There were many. But the naming of the schooner that Demi uses to enter the mortal world, nauticus or naftikos, is what Greeks would say, but it does mean naval. So it's like there are constant little Easter eggs in there, just little homage to the Greek world, which of course, I get very excited about.
Oh,
But I think it's also very enjoyable for non-Greeks because Greek, you made a mention about the Percy Jackson books earlier on. The young nephew of the Doomsday Prepper mentioned Percy Jackson, and that's been so popular. So everybody has a little bit of a connection to the Greek mythology right now and is excited when they recognize those little aspects.
and I'm excited for season 2 is coming out on the series of the Percy Jackson pretty soon. I guess my granddaughter shared that information with me. That was a series that I could watch with my grandchildren, and we all loved, and we all loved. We loved the movie and we loved the series, and you're right. People know Percy Jackson.
Yeah, and they've learned their Greek mythology from Percy Jackson because it's very accurate. Even the modern portrayal, it's like very accurate in so many ways and very
I
enjoyable.
I have a very superficial knowledge of the Greek gods. My grandson, who Benny in the movie is the knowledge that he has is taken from my grandson. My grandson has knowledge like you wouldn't believe, and he'll correct me. Like if I talk about a god, he'll go, "Well, that's the Roman. Um, you're talking Greek," and he knows them all, and he knows their backgrounds and their stories, and he learns all this through podcasts and YouTube channels, and so that aspect of Benny was based on my grandson.
Oh, that's exciting.
Not the gangly awkwardness, but the knowledge
Yeah.
that he has.
That was so much. That was so much fun to see a young person, and even the YouTuber who was a wacky little character that Olympus exists, and he was just trying to constantly prove that Olympus exists. It was
And
cute.
again, that came because in my original script, I had that was TMZ who was chasing them around. And our director said, we really don't want to use TMZ. So I went away and thought about it. And I thought, well, a YouTuber who's trying to prove that they're real would be funny. And then what he brought to that character made us all crack up.
He really did. He was very funny, and his little hangers on that were so excited. Overall, the movie was just really, and it's nice because it's a family friendly movie. Yet at the same time, as an adult, because my kids are grown, to just sit and watch it and be able to enjoy it, it was nice. And I am my brother used to call me an eco terrorist when we were young. I've always had I was not, but I've always had an interest in the climate and the environment. So that heartened me, but it heartened me because I think, probably too strident, which is maybe where the eco terrorist label came from my brother. But this was not strident. This was kind of showing respect to everyone. You went into the Doomsday Preppers convention, which I found very entertaining. And there were oddities, as there always are whenever somebody feels very strongly about something. But at the same time, there was no disrespect shown. And honestly, I'm scrolling through TikTok occasionally. I'll sit down and I'll say, oh, I got 5 minutes before I have to do this. More and more of the posts are, this is a seed that you can grow when the world comes to an end, and it's all doomsday prepping. It's really jacked up in the last several months. So the movie is even more timely, I think, than it was when you first brought it out. It's just gaining momentum.
And now when you see things like go bags advertised or bunkers, it's not a surprise anymore. It's just like something that we all should probably have in our garages, which is scary. It's scary.
It is. It's become
I
part of
made the
my life.
mistake of binging. There was a National Geographic show about doomsday preppers, real doomsday preppers. And I binged it one weekend, and it really changed my outlook on what we should be doing. And I don't have a go bag. I did for a while, but then it gets old. And so I don't have all of that. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, I really should be doing this now.
Yeah, there's so many things going on. And I remember saying to my husband recently, well, we really need to get like a solar generator or something. And that's something that was nowhere near my mind even a year ago. I just didn't, we had a couple of blackouts. I was like, oh, I don't know. We'll light a couple of candles, but it's becoming more and more frequent.
Well, and isn't Greece getting hit with fires and earthquakes? And aren't there some really tough things happening in Greece itself?
It's horrific. The wildfires the last couple of summers have been just absolutely devastating. It's been incredible. And then there's rain. You don't see a whole lot of rain in Greece, but when it does come, because of all the fires, there are these huge rivers of water running through these little villages, and it's terrifying to watch. It's really
Have you been
terrifying.
back recently? You say you go every few years?
No, I was there 2 years ago with my son, and we were lucky. I think we had no rain at all while we were there, which is more normal for the summertime. But that is also what is sort of. We were there in the late spring, and it was a month or two after we left that the wildfires started.
Oh, good timing for you.
Yeah, which was just it was terrible to sort of watch places that we had either visited or talked about visiting, and they were having these terrible problems. But we're seeing it all over the U.S. We're seeing it everywhere, and the earthquakes. And you bring up the die off of the bees, which has been terrifying me for the last several years. Very important.
And in one of your recent podcasts, you talked about the god of bees.
Mm.
And I keep meaning to go back and write it down because there is a sequel to this where Mother Nature and the Doomsday Prepper have twins who have very special powers because it turns out that Zip is actually a descendant of Zeus.
I wondered about that at the end of the movie.
And so these twins, and so there's this whole sequel about they have to save Father Nature from evil polluters, and I'm like, the bees, he's a character, the god of bees. And so I made a big note about the god of bees has to be in the sequel.
Oh God,
I didn't know there was a god of bees.
There is, and I'm zoning out now. I can't even think of his name.
I can't either, but you have it in your podcast.
It is, and if you go into the podcast notes, you can see that it's a transcript. The whole thing is there as a transcript, so you can.
I'll find it there. So don't be surprised if we ever are fortunate enough to make the sequel. And the sequel is all about water and dolphins. The dolphins and the twins are doing things to help the situation with the water. And
oh my gosh, that sounds. I saw on your website that you were starting production soon on it, or you were working on it.
We're going to have to find financing to pull it off, because to pull it off properly, especially with the dolphin CGI is quite expensive, and they're going to be much more prominent in the sequel. So I need to find investors before I can actually start it.
Oh wow! Well, which is nice. I'm going to be listing everybody who is carrying the movie right now at the end of the podcast.
Thank you.
So that people can see where they can go and view it. I've talked to a couple of friends about it already. I have a friend who's got twins that I think they're 11 or 12 now, that are huge Percy Jackson fans. Of course, they love because they're Greek. They're 100% Greek. That I love everything Greek. That I tell her you have to let them see it.
Oh, good. Well, one of the guys who was in the film showed it to his younger kids. Like I think they're like 14 and 11, and he said the next day they were running around the house, cracking each other up, going Papadopoulos, and then they would just crack up. He said he didn't expect that to be the takeaway they had from the movie.
It does roll off the tongue.
There was a back when I was in sales, I was interviewing a guy, and his last name was Populorum. And he explained to me what populorum meant, and I believe that's a Latin term. But that always stuck with me, the populorum, and I just expanded it. And then it turns out that Papadopoulos is a very common Greek name.
Yeah, it's like Smith.
Yeah.
So anything with a papa in it almost is like Smith. So that tickled me too, because it was like, she picked like one of the most popular Greek names, and there it is, and which makes sense to me because you've got the Greek gods. The Greek gods were propagating all over the place, so I found that really funny as well.
Oh, good. And then I just added a few syllables.
Yeah, which we will do to each other to tease. Yes.
Oh, that's funny.
That's very funny. My brother used to just say somebody's name and go laka 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 laka. The
There are so many. If you go to a Greek restaurant, trying to order and sounding like you know what you're doing. There's just so many syllables.
There are. We did a podcast about Speak Greek with a friend of mine, and saying to her, okay, how do you, and we were saying certain words, but we wanted to do like a food one because people do like to go to the Greek restaurants, so we thought we'd do a food pronunciation podcast and see how that goes.
That would be a good one, because you can find good Greek restaurants in every city, and it would be nice to go in and sound fluent.
Yeah, be able to sound like, oh,
Yeah.
yes. My daughter's proudest moment was when she was giving her order it was a diner, and it was an American taking the order, and she said gyro, and he went, oh, we call that gyro, and the boss was standing behind me and goes, no, we don't.
Oh, we don't.
Americans call gyro, we say gyro. So my daughter was like,
Do you do a lot of Greek cooking in your own household?
I don't. I'm really not much of a cook. I come from a long line of Greek women who don't particularly like to cook. We're really weird. But my husband, who's Cuban, is a very good Greek cook, and my daughter's boyfriend, who's Mexican, is a very good Greek cook. It was just like, I can make like comments, try this, try this, try this, which makes me very happy because I still get the food and I don't have to make it. I do occasionally, and then I'm like, oh, that was nice. But do you?
No, I do more Italian cooking. My mother-in-law was Angela d'Abruzzi, and was the dominant figure in my husband's family. In fact, we've gotten our Italian citizenship through her lineage.
Nice.
And my husband and I, his 2 children and our 3 grandchildren, all were able to get our Italian citizenship a year or so ago.
Oh, that's
so that
amazing.
was kind of fun. Yeah. But so I grew, all our holidays were very Italian. And so and she taught me how to cook.
Yeah, see, this nice. My mother was sort of hanging over my husband in the beginning. Oh, you did that very well. What are you doing? So that was nice, and it's nice to have it because now there are so many Greek restaurants all over the place. But at the time when we were first married, not so much. You either had to go into New York, or you just had to go visit your nuna or somebody and to get some good Greek food. So he loves cooking. So
you're lucky. That's nice.
I know. I am so lucky.
The other thing that you explained on one of your podcasts that I really appreciated was how much before and after work there is.
Yeah.
That it's not just sitting down and doing the interview, but how much time in prep and then in the post that you do. And that was an eye-opener for me because I'm an avid podcast listener. And I was like, boy, I need to be more appreciative of the podcasts I do listen to.
Yeah, there's a lot of research because you're looking for what will engage people. And of course, I go down rabbit holes left and right. And I could do 25 podcasts out of the research that I gather for each podcast. So it's winnowing it down and trying to make it engaging and not be too much of a history geek. Because, people want to know things, but they don't necessarily want to know everything about something. But even...
that's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point. So when we started, it was sunny and beautiful out. And the lightning is hitting outside my windows, and it was thundering a minute or 2 ago.
Oh my gosh! What did we say to tick off Zeus?
That was the other thing that I enjoyed that I didn't have written in the script, but that the director, again, Christian Cashmere, was able to add at the end when Rocky comes to get her, and they say Zeus is mad, and then the lightning goes, and I think he's angry.
Zeus was he just sort of popped in here and there, but he made an impact. He was so much fun. He was so much fun because his ego came through, which I've also thought of Zeus as such an egoist. His ego came through, and his strength, and the fact that he would screw up sometimes, and I just really enjoyed him. I thought he was a lot of fun, and at that point,
and he was Zeus. I mean, his body is Zeus, and I loved the size difference between Zeus and Lexi.
Yes.
I just loved it when they were standing next to each other. And then when he and Benny get a chance to interact on Olympus, I loved that moment when he picked up Benny and they were screwing around taking selfies. That was a really fun moment for me to watch.
That was adorable. And it seemed to me like the cast is really having a good time making this movie.
I am told that that it's not typical for the cast to all have this little love fest with each other. They all really enjoyed each other, the core cast, and they did a lot of stuff outside of filming time together. They stay in touch. We'll see selfies posted when they're in the same cities.
Wow.
Yeah, they all really, really enjoyed each other, and they were all very patient. We were a low budget indie film, and they were all very patient with us and what we were able to do and what we couldn't do. And for me, it was my first time seeing in a feature what actors can do with a role, what they bring to it and how they change it. And it's changed how I'm going to write going forward. I was always trained you have to show what they're feeling. You can't just say they're mad. And I'm like, no, from now on, I'm going to say, boy, they didn't like that, or she's skeptical, and let the actor bring to it how they want to portray it, because they bring so much more than you can ever write down on a sheet of paper.
This is true, the interactions. And I wondered, and later on, as I saw them, doing the little dancing around on the beach later, as I was watching it, it was like there's chemistry, there seems to be genuine affection, and it was that. There's so many movies that I watch today that are so down and horrible and tragic and horrifying, and that could be entertaining. I don't know why, but I've been binging Mary Tyler Moore lately because I feel like I'm so overloaded with the negativity, and it was so nice to see an upbeat movie with Greek stuff in it, where it was giving an important message, and the important message wasn't just let's take care of our environment, but let's work together. We all have a stake in this, even if we're coming from opposite directions, which is such an important message more than ever now. We can come together and make a difference. And that it was so uplifting to me that it was such a relief.
I'm glad because in my writer's statement, I talk about I ping pong between hope and fear, and on any given day, I can be both. But I really do think it's bad enough and getting enough attention that people will join together, because you can't do something in one little city if you pass regulations and everybody acts in an environmentally responsible way. It's not going to make a difference.
Right.
But if we can get huge populations and all the continents doing something, we can turn it around. Look what happened during COVID when we stopped driving for a little while.
I know. Everything cleared up.
I know, and it didn't take very long.
Yeah.
That was when I got really hopeful. I was like, whoa, we can turn things around pretty quickly.
Yeah, it was, and then everybody said, okay, and went back to what they were doing. But that's what's fun too, is because they are very opposite opinions, and that is sort of the premise of the story, is that the world is falling apart, and Zeus sends down Mother Nature, that if she can convince one person who really has no hope, which is this doomsday prepper, then he'll let her keep her job. And to see that he comes from this background where he's a veteran and he's kind of a tough guy, but he really cares about people, and slowly start to see, okay, we have to be worried. You're right. We have to be worried. But there are things that we can do, and sort of bringing those two aspects together, because you don't want to just go tripping down the lane saying everything's fine, and you don't want to go totally down the doomsday rabbit hole either, but to bring the two together to try to balance each other is something I don't usually see.
And he changes where he spends his energy.
Yes.
So an interesting thing is the Coast Guard actually supported our production.
Really?
They have an office, an entertainment office, and they
I had no idea.
support. I know, there's a guy in the Coast Guard. His whole job is just to coordinate with films, and we had to sign a contract that said we would represent them in a realistic way, and then that office really helped us do that. In fact, we had to rewrite part of the story to make it more accurate, but they allowed us on the Coast Guard base, and they allowed us to do drone shots. Those are real Coast Guard boats. And
cool.
Our actors were there, but then all the background people were real coasties, and we were really on that base. And that was probably one of the most fun filming days that I had, was getting to be on a Coast Guard base.
That's pretty awesome. And to be able to, I don't know, and again, it's sort of working together, which really comes through in the film, and to be able to show, yes, we're showing respect to people that we don't necessarily agree with, like Zip, who's very, very doomsday oriented, although I don't know, I'm starting to like lean in that direction a little bit. But it's again, I can't tell you how much that struck me, because I was very optimistic as a young person, and now that I'm a senior, I tend to like, I'm tired of being nice, when people are not listening. And we can still get people to listen by being nice and presenting it to them in a different way. And that was helpful to me, because I still have this dynamic in my head where I want to encourage people and I want to like scream at them.
And when we were younger, it was always positive. Like, I remember years we didn't put up Christmas lights because it would burn too much electricity, and everybody just was like, oh, that's something we can do. And there wasn't the constant disagreement and anger towards people with different viewpoints. We all just said, okay, that's something we can do. And when carpooling started, okay, that's something we can do. And now every suggestion has to be debated and debunked, and we just have to stop doing that.
Right. Everything's not a conspiracy theory. Sometimes we just need to do something.
The water's dirty and we need to make it cleaner.
Yeah. And here's how we can do that. 10 steps. You can't do all of it, but pick one.
Yeah. Let's just focus on one. And that in the sequel, Father Nature picks little things that he challenges the whole world to do, and they're just little things, and they make a big difference.
Oh, that's nice. I was looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to. I'm hoping that you get what you need. Too. I like the gender role issue, which is another very timely issue, where Mother Nature doesn't have to be Mother Nature; it can be Father Nature. I like that too. I thought that was very timely, and very Mount Olympus in a way. I mean, Greek culture is very patriarchal, and has been for a long time. But there were plenty of gods and goddesses, or in between, that didn't necessarily follow what we call as the gender roles. Today it was a bit more fluid, and certainly sexuality was more fluid. And you didn't get into that, and I'm not saying you're getting into that, but the gender roles, that you don't have to be Mother Nature.
And that he didn't have to be a warrior. He could pick something else.
Right. He had other talents and he could follow those.
And he's a very charming actor. Eric Freeman is just... I can just see him as Father Nature. I can see him in this sequel. So it'll be fun to get everybody back together if I'm able to pull it off.
Yeah. Oh, I hope so. And
the God of Bees. Thanks to you, the God of Bees will be there.
Yay. I'll be going, when I hear that come out. Yeah. He looks Greek. He has Alexandros. He looks Greek.
I initially had Mother Nature kind of as a hippy-dippy, long, blonde, curly hair, and everybody's like, Laurie, she's Greek. And then when we saw Kate with her dark hair, and she just embodied her, and she brought a goofiness that I didn't initially see. She brought a fun, goofy, just persona to the character that I really appreciate.
Yeah, it was kind of adorable. Every time she heard something, she didn't expect, note to self, save the whales.
How could that be happening?
Yeah.
How could that be happening? And I did not realize the Greek affinity for dolphins. I have a huge affinity for dolphins. And I didn't realize that. So thanks for sharing that.
You're welcome.
I'll look into that a little bit more and understand it better.
You're Greek in your last life.
I must have been, because dolphins, and I think that was one of the hardest parts for me, because in my head, I have this $20 million movie. And think of what you could do with dolphins in a $20 million movie.
Oh my gosh.
And the way the dolphins came together made me really happy.
Yeah, that was
and how we were able to make them circle, and I really liked, and I liked how she interacted with the one dolphin.
I did too.
That was how I saw it, talking to one of them who gives her the bad news.
Yeah, that was a special moment. And that's another thing to keep in mind. We are being sort of told by nature, animals, whatever, what's going on, and we're not listening. So that was
and dolphins, we live in Florida now, and dolphins are just everywhere. It's amazing how you can be on a dock and a dolphin will swim by.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, Sarasota, Florida has a huge dolphin research group.
Oh, beautiful.
And Yeah, they know where all the dolphins are and they track them, and that's how plentiful they are in the area.
Gosh, we've seen them in New Jersey, but we don't see them very often.
They are cool.
They are
I
very
love it.
cool.
I love it when you're on a beach, then all of a sudden a little pod of them swims by. It just makes me so happy.
That's so beautiful. Well, I wanted to mention your other two movies. I watched the other two short films. They were not Greek
Thank you.
themed, but they are certainly worth watching. Indelible, you won a few awards for that one. That was lovely.
That was my first foray into filmmaking, and the 97-year-old piano player is my father.
That's amazing. He was wonderful.
Yeah, that gave me the confidence to go forward, and that really touched people. So many people deal with people with dementia,
Yeah.
but the music and the what the director did with the flashbacks. Shane Nelson directed that, and he was very patient because I really didn't know what went into actually making a real film. And we did that during COVID with all the old people, which was, we had to be very careful. But that film has a really special place in my heart. When I still watch it, and I'm like, I really like how that film makes me feel.
It's really lovely. It's in a nursing home, and there are a number of people who have dementia. And your father goes in and he plays the music, and each one of them, from the particular song they hear, it triggers a memory, and we go back and we see a previous part of their life, and it really was lovely.
When both my parents were in assisted living, my dad didn't have dementia, but I realized how little the people there knew about my parents, because my parents have these whole lives, but the people taking care of them don't know that. And then I realized how much I didn't know about the caregivers. The caregivers all have amazing backstories. So I actually have a series where, because people said, I want more flashbacks. I want to know about that person, and I want to know about that person. So it's an anthology series where every episode we get a backstory, a much bigger backstory of one of the residents or the caregivers.
Oh,
And
have you put those out yet?
I'm trying. That's another one. I probably need to sell that to a production company that can make a full-fledged anthology series. My husband keeps saying, just treat it like 10 little separate shorts and just go make 10 little separate shorts. And I'm like, well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I have the capability to do that, but we're toying with that idea as well. My husband is my biggest cheerleader. Initially, all I wanted to do was have Christian Cashmere make a short proof of concept for Mother Nature so that we could sell it. And he said, I think you have a movie here. And I initially reached out to him because I knew I needed a fantasy world. And he has this studio in Tampa with this huge LED wall where we made Mount Olympus and made her greenhouse and made the background of the boat. So we were in front of that wall and then we built part of a boat in front of the wall. And that's how we pulled off them being on a boat in the ocean without actually being in the ocean or the bay. And so this was a pretty rigorous undertaking for a first feature with all the special effects and fantasy worlds. But my husband Bill, always felt that was the story that we should start with. So anything after that's going to be relatively easier.
Wow, because you already have in mind, it's like you're learning as you go, which I totally understand.
Yeah.
We jumped into podcasting, we're like, what are we doing? But
And it is amazing what you learn. And then the second short, Monitored, I wanted to do something very contained where I could really participate with every piece of it. There were 5 of us filming. There was one actress, and then the 2 come in at the very end.
that was so funny.
Yeah, and it's dark, but I said, okay, what can I film in my house? And I wanted something to do with my granddaughter, and I'm like, well, okay, what can we do? She could be a babysitter. And then when it was time to do it, when we could film, she was very, very busy and couldn't do it. But it's not in me to write a dark story like that. But it all came together, and we were able to do it in our home. And interestingly enough, our house has a lot of windows, so they were prepared to put muslin over all the windows to soften the lights. But we had such bad smoke from Canada that they didn't have to do it because the smoke was filtering the light.
Oh my gosh, that saved you
That's
some
sad.
cash right
It was a
there.
little silver lining for us, but isn't that sad?
Oh gosh, it is. But that
Yeah.
that was a kind of, it was short. I think, was it 5 minutes? And
Yep. It was very short.
it's it was funny, but it was also disturbing. The whole idea, because this is what it is now. The cameras are everywhere in people's homes, and for a babysitter to be trying to move around the home and knowing she's being watched every single thing she's doing, and her.
And you can see why she'd be like, I don't like this. Many people who saw that at some film festivals think that that could be a full-length horror movie. And when I think about it, it absolutely could, but it gets too dark. I'm like, I'm not sure I can go down that rabbit hole of darkness, but it really is a full-fledged horror story there.
Yeah, and I had to say, well, we don't have a lot of cameras in our house, but I was like, thank God I don't have to have babysitters anymore, because she got
Well,
her
and
little.
I just watched something on YouTube about when you go to an Airbnb, all the places you need to look for cameras.
Yes.
And I'm like, I don't think I can go to an Airbnb again. Not that I do anything that's very interesting for all the people watching, but just
I know, but
feeling like,
I'm shy. It's like,
yeah,
I don't want
yeah,
them
is
watching
there a
me.
camera there?
Yeah, that's very funny, because I saw one. It was right. We went to Greece in 2023, and we had just gotten back, and I was like, oh dang.
Yeah, I wish I would have thought about that.
Yeah, although I think he probably would have just completely deleted whatever he had of me, and just I don't know. It's a scary world where you're constantly being monitored all the time. We put a security camera recently on our front door at the urging of my daughter, and she and her boyfriend put it up. And every time somebody's coming up the stairs, they're like looking at it, because it follows them.
Oh, so it gets their attention.
Sometimes it does, but like my kids and their friends know it's there. So as they're coming up on the porch, it's sort of like, but
Yeah, we do. It is a different world.
yeah, but you express that, and that's what I find so fascinating. In a 5 minute film, you sort of took in all of that paranoia and that discomfort of constantly being monitored, and her little rebellion. The whole thing is, for a 5 minute movie, I came away with a real impression. And these are both available on your website, which is Beach Entertainment.
They are
So we
productions, Beach Entertainment Productions.com. Yep.
Yeah.
And you can also Google Mother Nature and the Doomsday Prepper, and you'll get there through that as well. And then we're available for rent on Amazon Prime and Apple TV and YouTube and Google Play. And so I'm so relieved. When you put a film out in the world, it's really scary. Like, I didn't want our PR person to send it to critics, because I thought, it was so scary. And then when the first reviews came in and they were positive, the relief I feel is just amazing. And so when people do go to Amazon, they'll see some positive comments, and a lot about, it's a good movie to watch with your family, but it's still fun as a date night.
Yeah.
As I said at the beginning, it's a weird little mashup, a quirky mashup of a bunch of genres that thankfully people are enjoying. And I really appreciate the thoughtfulness you gave of what are the Greek moments. And
Yeah, because we're all going to see it from our own point of view. I think most people are going to look at it and just see this like enjoyable, it's fun and everything. But to my audience, there's going to be that special little perk, because we leap on anything that's remotely Greek. We just love it that, we're being recognized, and that people are treating it respectfully. And I thought you did such a good job with it, that there were certain little bits that you brought out that were sort of in the know things that you don't usually see when somebody brings the Greek culture into it, unless they're actually Greek. So I was like, I was like, so,
I love it.
I thought that was so much fun.
I have to share a moment with you.
Mm-hmm.
Coming up with the acronym SOFIA was incredibly difficult, because it had to be an acronym that worked for his safety pod.
Right.
But then I also wanted that same acronym to be when he uses the money to do all the good things.
Yes.
And it took me forever, days and days, and the director was sending ideas, and we were coming up with words, and then it hit one night, And I came up with both. And then as soon as we set it on set, one of the guys on set said, well, Sophia is the Greek god of wisdom. I didn't have a clue.
Yes.
Didn't have a clue Sophia is the Greek god of wisdom. And it could not have been a better name for the pod and then for the farm. And so that was a little kind of universe moment where I think somebody was nudging me to come up with the right name.
Yeah, I thought you had known that and you went from that point of view, because as soon as it said Sophia, that's the first thing I think is wisdom. We have a dog named Sophia. The wisdom is the first thing that comes up, and it was that he was so carefully preparing this pod that would save people's lives in the event of disaster, and then it wound up being, this is something that is containing something that will save the earth and make our lives better, and it was coming from a point of wisdom on both ends. So that, see, serendipitous.
Yeah,
that
was really a cool moment. I was like, wow, I got tingles when he said that. Well, she's the Greek goddess of wisdom.
Yeah, the gods are communicating with you through these.
Absolutely, because sometimes some of these ideas you have, they don't come from my experience. Somebody's helping me.
That's great. That's great, and that's also going to go over with the Greek crowd when I go to. I wanted to know if it was okay if I printed up like a flyer size of some of the stills you gave me of the movie, because I'm going to be going to church, which is it's more like a Greek community club, but yes, we're church too, and leave them on some of the tables and coffee hours so that people will.
Oh, absolutely! I would be grateful if you did that. Yeah, be very grateful. With independent film, one of the hardest things is getting the message out there and letting people know it's available. So I would be very appreciative if you would do that.
Great. Because I love that idea, because I said we're teeny tiny, independent, and anybody just mentioning it to one person is great, because then it just snowballs a little bit, and I love helping anybody else who's doing something that I find fun and exciting.
Well, and like I said, I wouldn't have stumbled on because not being Greek, I probably would have been, but your podcast is so interesting in so many different ways. The artist you just had on, and talking about the costumes and how costumes are passed down through families and houses, and that's interesting to anybody. You don't have to be Greek to find that very interesting. So I've been binging your podcast too.
Oh, thank you.
So I will share that as well.
Thank you. I'll tell George Tatakis you liked his work.
I do, and now I need to go to his website and look at it in more detail and more depth. But and he was an interesting storyteller, the way he told how he came across all those different ideas. And
he really is, and he's gotten very well known in certain areas. But I felt like so honored to be able, like with you, so honored to be able to introduce it to like a little side audience that maybe wouldn't have had contact with it otherwise.
Well, again, I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Oh my gosh, you're very welcome. I hope you're going to come back and talk to us when Father Nature comes out.
I will, and I will reach out to you for some ideas on who are the gods, and am I representing them properly?
Oh, I'd be very happy to help. That would be wonderful.
I will do that. I will definitely do that.
Yeah, please. I wish you would too. Anything else that you've got coming up?
I will. Thank you very much.
I'd be happy to mention it. So
I definitely will.
Great. It was such a pleasure talking to you. I'm so excited to meet the creator behind the movie that I enjoyed. That's been fun.
And it was fun talking. I could talk to you forever. It was very easy, and I'll be listening.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. I'll think of you as you're listening. And I'm rooting. I will pray to Symphonurios that you find whatever backing you need in order to be able to complete your next movie.
And I will look at the transcript to see how you spell that name you just said.
Oh, they'll spell it wrong.
St. Fenoulios. I will pray to him too.
Yeah, I see the easiest way to spell it is Fanours. Fenoulios.
I will look into him.
He helps you find lost things, whether that's peace of mind or success or your keys, whatever it is you're looking for. And if you light a candle and say a prayer for his mother, that much the better for you.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, maybe.
I love that.
Maybe Fenoulios will show up somewhere. Who knows?
There you go. I will look him up.
Thank you so much for joining us. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate your time.
Me too. Take care now. Good luck.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. A special thank you to Laurie Criego for sharing her time and giving us a peek into the world of filmmaking. It was a pleasure. Listeners can learn more about Laurie at beachentertainmentproductions.com. We'll drop a link in the episode notes. You'll find the trailer for Mother Nature and the Doomsday Prepper there, as well as links to the streaming services where it's available for rental or purchase on Amazon Prime, Apple TV, Google Play, and YouTube. Both of Laurie's short films can be viewed on the website. Indelible, a really lovely, beautiful rendered story exploring the link between music and memories, and Monitored, a disturbing and darkly comic take on society's excessive and invasive use of surveillance. Check them out, they're really worth seeing. Thanks for listening. Greek Like Me is a Stealth Greek production. I'm your host, Pamela Diodes-Wood. Our photographer and post-production editor is Douglas John. Visit our website at stealthgreek.com for resources, photos, links, and more. Please rate, like, and subscribe. It helps us get noticed so we can keep making content about Greeks and Greek culture. Find Greek Like Me on YouTube, Facebook, and on Instagram at Greek_like_me. See you next time. Yassas.